Hello everybody and welcome to February 2020 Plan With Me. The theme for this month is giraffes, and I am feeling a little homesick at the moment, so I decided to dive right in and look at an animal that represents where I come from, which is sunny South Africa. For this month's cover spread, I decided to design a little giraffe lying down, slightly different position to what you would normally expect and see a giraffe in, so I thought it was very cute. Just a nice way to start off the month. I go around just outlining it with a 0.05 fine liner. I really like the look of this, however I did decide after looking at everything and having completed this that it was a little bit light, so I would suggest maybe going through with a slightly thicker liner just for the outlines. So once you have the basic outline and shape of the giraffe, you want to go in and start putting in the details of the spots. And giraffe spots are not round little spots, they are kind of hexagonal shaped, and I just kind of went in and made little squiggles. I think it's important to make sure that not all the spots are fully on the animal, so it looks like some of them are on the edge or that the spots continue on the other end, so it's important to have half spots on the edges of some of the drawing. I really wanted a big bold font for this cover spread, and so I decided to do block letters with a felt tip pen. Unfortunately, this did show through a bit, and I would definitely recommend that you test this out before you go ahead and commit like I did. I then went through the text with a gel pen, white gel pen, just put a line through all the text, and I just felt it made it pop and gave it a little bit of an African feel. I really wanted to keep this theme very minimal this month in terms of color, so I'm really only using a couple of colors, black and brown, and you'll see a little bit later some other colors. So you'll just see me going in and coloring in the giraffe spots with a brown color pencil. I found that this was the best way to color in on this cheap notebook that I am using this year, because it does not bleed through obviously, and it does create a nice colored in effect. I then decided that the page would pop if I had a black border around it, and as I said, the black pen that I was using was bleeding through, so I decided to color this in with a black pencil, and then I took not sure what the tool is called, but a smudging paper thing and smudged through all the pencil marks just to give it a little bit more of a finished feel, and I think the final page really does look great. Moving on to the next spread, where I am going to put my goals and focus for this month, and just opposite that I'm starting on the quote page. I really enjoy quote pages as it's definitely a way to help keep you focused, keep you aligned with what you're trying to achieve, and just to give you inspiration as you try to achieve your goals for the month. So this month I chose a quote, "Let your faith be taller than your fears." And I really love this little giraffe next to the quote. I love his little facial expression and the fact that it looks like he's chewing on some leaves, and I just think he is completely adorable. I still wanted that bold font, and having learned my lesson with the felt tip pen that I have and the thin pages in this notebook, I thought it would be better to just outline the lettering, and then I will go through and put that solid line instead of with a gel point pen. I will put a solid line through with my fine liner, just to help accentuate the letters and help them stand out. I only did this on the big bolder letters. I didn't put it on the little ones as I thought it would be too busy. I then grabbed the fine liner, added some details to the ears just to help make them pop, the little black bits in the ears, and then grabbed the same brown pencil that I had used previously just to color in and bring some color to the spread in the form of the giraffe spots. I really love this quote page. It's maybe one of my favorite pages in the whole spread, and I really love the way it turned out despite the bleed through from the page previously. On the next page, I decided to put my goals in focus, and this is just a great way for me to put the 3 top things that I want to achieve this month and how and what my main focus for the month is going to be. I'm still trying to buckle down what those are going to be, but it worked really well for me in January. And I just wanted to bring some color and just to balance out the spread on the right hand side, just a little strip with some of that giraffe pattern. One focus for this month I know is definitely going to be around financial health, especially after a very, very long January. So I decided to set up a budget spread, and on the right hand side I'm just adding in a couple of giraffes there, just entwined, that classic giraffe entwined neck pose, and I thought they were very cute. So the way the budget spread is going to work is I am going to have 3 columns. The column on the far right is going to be where I put my fixed expenses, rent, medical bills, cell phone bills, gas and electricity, etc. And those are just the fixed things that I have no control over, that I have to pay every month, that kind of just come off my salary. And then the other 2 columns, I'm going to put my main expenses, sundry expenses like groceries, for example, and anything else in the other column. And I've split this out into the 4 weeks of the month. So I'm going to have a budget for each week as opposed to each month. Never done this before, so it's going to be very interesting, and I'm quite interested to see how this turns out. Felt like the page needed a little bit more, and I decided to put this little giraffe popping his head out from the back of the budget spread, and I absolutely love the tilted head expression of this little guy and absolutely love him. So I'm really happy with the giraffe theme this month. I really wanted a big bold font again on this budget slide and decided to risk that. Felt tip pen again and just went over it. I was just checking to see bleed through. It doesn't bleed through, but it does show through because these pages in this notebook are quite thin and you can't see it on the other end of the page. It's not too bad, it's okay. I did make the B a little bit too big, I think, and with that gel pen insert had to go in and make that a bit thicker to help make it pop. Not my favorite headline in the whole book, but it does work. And moving on to the monthly view, month at a glance view. I have decided to do something a little bit different for this spread, and I start off with a border around the edge. And then what I'm going to do is have the top half or the top portion of the page that is going to be a Dutch door kind of system, and we'll get to that in a moment. You'll see how that works. So just on this page, this is the first page that's going to show through, and I'm just putting a little giraffe there and just putting the monthly layout so that on every single page through the weeks I have a reference to where those dates are falling out. I need a lot of space on my monthly spread just to put in all the dates of special events and things that are happening. I like to put things in on specific days, so I like to have a lot of space in those days. But I also find some tasks that I need to complete in the month don't necessarily have a day to be completed on, so I really like having just a little task section as well, so that I can put anything in there that does not have a specific day but definitely needs to get done at some point in the month. notice that I am not filling in the top right hand portion of the spread, and that is because we are going to cut that off and it's going to form part of the Dutch door, so we will fill in that on the last page of the weekly spreads. So just as we move on, you'll see that there is a little bit of the habit tracker that is still left on the page, and we will complete that once we have the final page in. So moving on to the weekly spreads, I do not use a daily spread, and that is because I use my bullet journal for personal reasons. I do not overlap it with anything work related. I find my work tasks are far too many to get done in a day, and I want to keep a separate notebook for anything work related. Goals and career goals, etc. do form part of my bullet journal, but daily, day-to-day tasks do not form part of it. So I like to set it up in what they would call the Alistair method. And basically you just write down all the tasks that you have to complete in a week, and you assign it to a day with a little dot using the grid on the left hand side. I can go through this in more detail if anybody would be interested in it. Because these spreads are so condensed and you kind of look at them forever, I really wanted to make these pages pop and make them as visual as possible, so I decided to put in little illustrations of giraffes for each week. And for the second week in February, because Valentine's Day falls in that week, I really wanted to commemorate this, so I made a little pattern where there was a heart that formed by the silhouette of the two giraffes. So that's how I'm bringing Valentine's Day into my February spread. I'm just going ahead and setting up weeks 3 and 4 for February. I know some of you do not like setting up your weeks in advance. For this spread particularly, it was quite important to set up the full month spread. As you can see with the Dutch door having the habit tracker at the top, it's quite important to have it all set up so that when you cut it all out, it all works. I'm now going in and completing the top portion of this Dutch door effect, and this is where I'm going to put in the habit tracker. I really like the idea of having a habit tracker for the month as opposed to having a weekly habit tracker, and I like the fact that with this type of design you can have access to your habits no matter what day of the week it is, and you do not need to keep paging back and forwards to your habit tracker page. This way it's easily accessible no matter what. Comes the really scary part of cutting out the Dutch door for this spread. So to do this, you simply cut along the spine of the page and down the bottom, and very carefully remove those from the pages that you want to see. And that is the final spread for this month's setup. I'm just going to fill in the habit tracker here, and that is it. So let's have a look at our setup for this month, February. So we move to the quote page and goals and focus page. I still really love the chewing giraffe on this page. And as we move on to the budget tracker, still not a huge fan of that headline, but really love the way this page turned out with the giraffes overlapping the budget behind. I really love this spread for the month, and I really think it's going to work for me. Each week is really, really pretty and not boring at all, so looking forward to using that. And that's that for this month's Plan With Me. Thank you so much for joining me on my first Plan With Me on YouTube for February 2020, and I look forward to the next one.